Greetings all, and welcome to the 13th episode of TM Technical Movement. For today, we will be looking at the Comet Punch, Mega Punch, Dizzy Punch, Guillotine, Mega Kick, Body Slam, Crush Claw, and Double Hit attacks, and the Teeter Dance and Swords Dance techniques.
The Comet Punch attack effectively involves striking an opponent with a flurry of punches at close range, and turn damaging them multiple times before they can even react. The Comet Punch attack is a highly specialized move that requires both extreme agility and exceptional flexibility from the user to work because, much as the name suggests, each punch involved in this attack is thrown so fast that it's almost impossible to react to it. This presents some hindrances in the form of a somewhat low accuracy rate, low damage capability, and a relatively high stamina cost, but the fact that the attack can strike 2 to 5 times before the user has to recharge and ready another strike does make it fairly decent for beginning trainers. What really makes the attack interesting though is its execution speed. In short, a single Comet Punch is thrown so fast that neither the user nor the opponent or any onlookers can actually see it. It's about as extreme of a muscle reaction as any Pokemon can physically generate. This in turn plays into the move's specialization, as the force generated with each blow is actually capable of breaking the user's limb bones and tearing the muscles from rapid, repeated usage. The attack might not be great for inflicting a lot of damage, but this unbelievable execution time grants the attack astounding stopping power and easily makes it a force to be reckoned with in many cases. It is lastly noted that because the attack actually strikes multiple times in a short period of time, it can be used to override the effects of the sturdy ability and items like the Focus Sash or Focus Band, as well as amplify the effects of the weak armor ability. Since an opponent must use fists of some sort to execute a Comet Punch attack, striking otherwise damaging said fist can produce and negate the damage dealt by this attack. If this is not an option, however, fairly agile Pokemon can still dodge the attack in close quarters. Although the attack is able to take advantage of abilities like sturdy and weak armor, as well as items like the Focus Sash and Focus Band, the low amount of damage dealt by even a few blows is still minor enough in many cases to be negligible, reducing its overall effectiveness in light of more powerful attacks with similar functions. Armor is extremely effective at reducing or completely negating the damage done by this attack, and can even cause damage to the opponent if the attack sends tissue-damaging recoil through the limbs, so maintaining sturdy defenses should be a primary tactic when fighting against an opponent capable of actually using this move. Much as the name suggests, the Mega Punch attack involves striking the opponent with a powerful punch thrown with tremendous force. Although the Mega Punch attack would otherwise seem to have all the properties of a fighting type move, it is classified as a normal type attack because it is unable to breach armor in the same fashion as other fighting type moves. The move itself is actually fairly simple to execute, as a Mega Punch can be thrown without any advanced fighting experience at all. The catch is that only a few species of Pokemon are actually able to focus enough strength into a single punch to take on the attack's plain brute force attributes. Not surprisingly, the move is among the most powerful fist-based attacks, and is capable of actually dealing large amounts of damage at the expense of relatively little stamina, but the preparation time needed for the attack makes its accuracy rate less than desirable. Nonetheless, this simple strike is an equal opportunity weapon, as only Rock, Steel, and Ghost-type Pokemon have any real protection against it, so it can usually prove to be a game changer if it manages to connect. It was for this reason alone that led Silphco to release the move as TM01 within their first generation line of TMs. Although the move gained quite a bit of popularity during its run, the TM was eventually discontinued due to its unfairly high damage potential, though a recent surge in popularity led it to be reinstated as TM00 in the company's 8th generation line of TMs and TRs before being discontinued before the 9th generation line. Since an opponent must use a fist of some sort to execute a Mega Punch attack, striking otherwise damaging said fist cannot produce or negate the damage dealt by this attack. If this is not an option, however, fairly agile Pokemon can still dodge the attack in close quarters. Strong armor in general cannot produce or negate the damage dealt by this attack, but weaker armor is unlikely to perform as well without sustaining critical damage or failing altogether. It's unlikely that this attack will ever come up much in battle as a result of its general rarity, so it shouldn't be an extreme concern in any battle situation. If the attack is available to the opposition, however, evasive tactics in conjunction with strong defenses are recommended above all other courses of action, as the attack's damage potential is still fairly high given its stamina requirements, and more than potent enough to inflict some serious damage against unarmored opponents. In essence, the Dizzy Punch attack is effectively a power-packed punch thrown either in a rhythmic fashion or while the user is rotating at high speeds. While most fist-based attacks rely on either sheer power, speed, or even elemental energy to deal damage, the Dizzy Punch attack is distinctly different from the rest in that it utilizes rotational kinetic energy to deliver damage. In some cases, this means having the user dance in a rhythmic fashion before suddenly striking out at the opposition without warning. In other cases, such as with Kangaskhan, who are nobly notorious for this move, it may simply involve rotating their body at exceptionally high speeds before striking an opponent in close quarters. Either way, the effect is generally the same in that the blow literally knocks the opponent off balance and temporarily disrupts their inner ear functions. Though this usually does nothing more than make the opposition stagger backwards for a few moments, about 20% of the time, this blow can actually cause a brain-wide disruption, in turn confusing the opponent. The Dizzy Punch is among only a handful of physical attacks that have the capacity to actually confuse an opponent, and because it is the most readily available of these moves among wild Pokemon, it is oftentimes a key component in strategies involving the nasty status condition. Interestingly enough though, the attack does not have the capacity to actually confuse its user, but this is likely because the Pokemon able to learn the attack possess unique balance systems internally that help them to counter the effects of their own moves, which in turn seem to prevent the move from being affected by items like King's Rocks. In practice, this makes the Dizzy Punch attack the perfect move for surprising the opposition and potentially rendering them little more than personal punching bags for some amount of time. As with similar punching attacks, because an opponent must use a fist of some sort to execute a Dizzy Punch attack, striking otherwise damaging said fist can help reduce and negate the damage dealt by this attack. Otherwise, however, the move can be exceptionally difficult to dodge in close quarters. Armor can, however, help reduce and negate the damage dealt by this attack. Overall, the Dizzy Punch attack isn't strong enough to be considered a dire threat in any battle, but its ability to confuse a target can make it a potentially dangerous move that should be looked out for and prepared for, with sturdy defenses and some form of protection against the attack's most dangerous attribute. The Guillotine attack essentially involves the user striking an opponent with pinches or bladed appendages rapidly and viciously enough to tear through flesh, bone, and armor alike without any resistance from defenses. This move can essentially be considered a modification of the basic Vice Grip attack that favors raw power over accuracy in close quarters. Instead of simply pinching the opposition and dealing damage through pressure alone, the Guillotine attack forces the user to rely on sheer brute force and absolute cutting power to deal significant amounts of damage by either charging an opponent straight on with a bladed appendage or by clamping on while at a point of maximum elastic potential energy within an appendage, as is the case with Pokemon with natural pincers. Not surprisingly, this makes the Guillotine highly inaccurate and relatively easy to dodge in most cases, but there is still a significant intimidation factor associated with the attack that is highly dependent upon the experience levels of either side. If an opponent is of a higher experience level than the user, the attack is practically guaranteed to miss. As the experience level begins to swing in the user's favor, however, the chances of the opponent becoming too intimidated to dodge the attack begin to rise dramatically. While its execution style may vary, the end result is the same. When it connects, the attack exerts so much force on the opponent that it completely overloads the nerves and knocks them unconscious or otherwise incapacitates them completely. This can make the attack fairly useful under the right circumstances, but a word of caution should be made against the attack's damage potential. Unlike attacks with similar effects, the Guillotine attack truly has the potential to be completely and utterly lethal in battle. If a Pokemon is utilizing an appendage, like a pincer, to deliver the attack, it will likely only do enough damage to knock them out because of the limited area within which it can actually inflict damage. If the user is using a bladed appendage on the other hand, there's a chance that the attack may go completely through a limb or torso, in turn severing it from the rest of the body. This has unfortunately made the attack a banned move in many tournaments and has gained considerable notoriety over the years, which is why Silphco never decided to release the attack as a TM, even though it did so for the Horn, Drill, and Fissure attacks. Nonetheless, if brute force destruction is something needed in a desperate situation, the Guillotine attack is a powerful move that certainly won't disappoint if it manages to connect. Due to its exceptionally low accuracy rate, dodging the Guillotine attack should be fairly easy even for smaller Pokemon, and should be the only logical measure taken to avoid the move. As long as the opposition isn't at the same level of experience as your own Pokemon or higher, there should be nothing to worry about. If this is not the case, however, the only useful strategy that can be used is to run like heck and hope the attack misses. Otherwise, there's absolutely nothing capable of preventing the attack from knocking out your Pokemon instantly. Much as the name might suggest, the Mega Kick attack is effectively a massive kick thrown at absolute maximum power. Unlike most kicking attacks, the Mega Kick attack is considered to be a normal type attack because it transcends the boundaries to not only make fighting type moves weak against psychic types, as well as poison, flying, and bug types. As it turns out, this is not an easy feat, as kicking attacks generally always have a certain affiliation with flying types because of their usefulness in breaking through tough armor. Only a small number of Pokemon are able to naturally utilize the only kicking attack that does not have armor-breaking qualities, but nonetheless can deal equal amounts of damage to all types that would otherwise be resistant against flying type attacks. The Mega Kick itself requires no true expertise in regards to kicking. It's literally just a single kick thrown at maximum force without any regards to aiming or manipulation. As such, it has no special attributes but is more than backed up by an extremely high base power. Unfortunately, it is also highly inaccurate because of the significant amount of time needed to prepare the attack and extremely costly in terms of stamina. When used properly and practically, however, the attack can be an efficient weapon of pure brutality, capable of dealing tremendous amounts of damage within a short period of time in close quarters. This is in fact the reason why Silco decided to release the move as TM05 within the first generation line of TMs, but the attack's exceptionally low accuracy rate eventually doomed its sales and forced the move to be discontinued, though it was recently reinstated as TM01 and the company's 8th generation line of TMs and TRs before being discontinued once more. Since an opponent must utilize its legs in order to execute a Mega Kick attack, damaging the appendages before the attack can connect can help reduce and even negate the damage dealt by this attack. If this is not an option, however, even relatively agile Pokemon should still be able to dodge the attack in close quarters. Strong armor in general can also help reduce and negate the damage dealt by this attack, but weaker armor is unlikely to perform as well without sustaining critical damage or failing altogether. The chances of seeing the Mega Kick attack outside of Hitmonlee and some other Pokemon are fairly slim, but if it's available to the opponent, evasive tactics, in conjunction with strong defenses, should be followed above all other courses of action, as the attack's damage potential is simply too high to risk. The Body Slam attack, much as its name implies, generally involves the user leaping a short distance into the air before slamming down onto the opposition with the full weight of its body, though some of the more massive wielders of this move can effectively just fall flat on their face and garner the same effects. Unlike a tackle attack, the hoisting of a user's entire mass into the air effectively allows them to press down onto the opposition with more force than what normally could be generated by any simple charging strike, primarily thanks to the effects of the gravitational acceleration. Since the move can usually be executed rather quickly, it is normally impossible to avoid the simple strike in close quarters, and considering how powerful it is even as a basic strike, this can quickly become a frustrating move for any trainer that has to deal with it. The best part, however, is that the impact of this attack applies so much pressure on a target that it can cause temporary nerve damage in the body and effectively inflict paralysis 30% of the time, a nasty side effect that more than makes the attack worth fearing. Moreover, since the damage from the strike is delivered through intense pressure over a given surface area, if an opponent has used a minimized technique already in battle, they will be completely unable to ever dodge this attack, and the damage that it deals will be doubled. Overall, the Body Slam attack is a nasty blow that can give Pokemon of all body sizes the chance to deal some intense damage, which is primarily why Silco decided to release the move as TM08 within their first generation line of TMs, though it was subsequently scrapped in later generations due to the unfairness of its capabilities, until eventually being reinstated as TR01 in the company's first line of TRs, and TM66 within their 9th generation line of TMs. Since an opponent must utilize its entire body to deliver a Body Slam attack, attacking them before impact can help reduce and negate the damage dealt by this attack. Otherwise, however, it is exceptionally difficult to dodge in close quarters. Strong armor in general can also help reduce and negate the damage dealt by this attack, but weaker armor is unlikely to perform as well without sustaining critical damage or failing altogether. The Body Slam attack may not automatically seem like a threat even with a great damage potential, but with the capacity to easily inflict paralysis with every strike, it is a potent move that should be countered with strong defenses and some form of protection against paralysis to negate its most dangerous attribute. Although the Slash attack is a fairly commonplace move due to its simple execution criteria, the Crush Claw attack can only be learned naturally by a small group of Pokemon because it's completely dependent upon the density and hardness of a user's claws. Once a specific density barrier is reached and surpassed, the mechanics and damage potential of a simple Slash attack can be altered and modified into something far more devastating for both short and long battles. Though initiated in the same fashion as the Slash attack, the user attacking a target with a forceful tearing of sharp claws through soft flesh, causing lacerations in most cases and inflicting physical trauma on underlying tissue, with a Crush Claw attack, the tearing force applied to an opponent becomes much higher than that of a traditional Slash attack as a result of this greater claw density, granting it not only slightly higher damage capabilities, but also the power needed to penetrate thick layers of armor and even shred weak armor. When applied in battle, this means that the Crush Claw attack will reduce the opponent's defense stat for the duration of battle about 50% of the time with each strike, in turn making the move extremely dangerous when wielded improperly in battle. However, the preparation time needed for this move and intense amount of force applied in it is also too much to probably trigger a heightened pain response before actually dealing damage, in turn negating its capacity to score critical hits more frequently and making it slightly less accurate than the Slash attack. The Crush Claw attack further requires twice as much stamina as the Slash attack to use in battle, and is not common enough to really rely on, but for trainers that need to into battle quickly, this unique strike can often pay off in spades when up against armored opponents. Since an opponent needs sharp claws or bladed appendages of some sort to execute the Crush Claw attack, damaging these bladed accessories can help reduce and negate the damaging power of the attack. If this is not an option, however, an exceptionally agile Pokemon can still dodge the attack in close quarters. Additionally, armor can help reduce and negate the damage dealt by this attack, though some types of armor will be vulnerable to the cutting force of this blow. The Crush Claw attack is certainly not a move that many trainers will see in battle, but when it is available to the opposition, it is an armor-breaking strike that can seriously hurt its intended target and should thusly be countered with sturdy defenses at all times, especially in the form of thick armor, and Pokémon that generally possess high defense stats to buffer against the attack's most dangerous attribute. The double hit attack is a simple yet bizarre move that takes the advantage posed by dual features, such as 2 or more heads, powerful limbs, etc., to deal rapid damage to the opposition. As such, a double hit attack is exactly what it sounds like, a dual strike designed to inflict damage on the opposition twice before any sort of confrontation can be made. While the time between each individual strike is too short for the opposition to actually halt the attack, the double hit attack is only moderately damaging at most, and is fairly costly in terms of stamina, so its uses are somewhat limited. Even so, the fact that only Pokémon with dual features can learn and use it effectively, not counting Apom, though they do evolve after learning the move, nonetheless makes it a quirky attack whose true functions are still a bit of a mystery. It is less known though that because the attack actually strikes multiple times in a short period of time, it can be used to override the effects of the sturdy ability and items like focus sashes and focus bands, as well as amplify the effects of the weak armor ability. While attacking the opponent's appendages before they can connect with a double hit attack can help protect against damage, it is better to risk dodging the attack completely, considering the damage dealt by the attack will either be all or nothing. Moderately agile Pokémon should have no trouble doing so in close quarters. Armor can additionally help reduce or negate the damage dealt by this attack. Unlike other multi-strike attacks, the relatively high base power of the double hit attack can prove to be a threat against some opponents, such as those with abilities like sturdy and weak armor, or those who are holding items like the focus sash or focus band, so exceptional caution should be taken when attempting to counter this move in any situation. Even so, though, the chances of it making a serious impact are still fairly low. The Teeter dance technique is a rare but potent defensive technique that can effectively render any nearby Pokémon and occasionally even trainers completely confused and unable to perform effectively in battle. The Teeter dance itself is a strange, wobbly dance designed to force onlookers to watch the limb movements of the user carefully and cautiously, since it's often interpreted to be some sort of attack. If the watcher is particularly close, however, the random motion of the user's limbs, which are actually waved in a deliberate fashion despite appearing to be erratic, causes the onlooker to go cross-eyed and become unable to differentiate between separate left and right and up and down movements for a short period of time, in turn inflicting confusion. The Teeter dance technique is extremely effective in multi-Pokemon battles because it will perfectly inflict confusion on all nearby opponents, but the fact that it will do the same to any adjacent ally could also make it troublesome to work with. Nonetheless, if applied correctly, this otherwise rare move can easily frustrate opponents and leave them struggling to pick up the pieces of the Pokemon's scrambled minds. Moves, items, and abilities that either cure or prevent confusion are highly recommended for countering the Teeter dance technique. In effect, the Swords dance technique involves frantically dancing around with sharp claws, teeth, or bladed armature in an effort to boost one's morale and fighting spirit. In an effort to enhance their own physical abilities to an exceptional degree, Pokémon that can utilize the Swords dance technique have learned to use simple but frantic dance movements to relax themselves and boost their physical strength. The entire point of a Swords dance is for the Pokémon performing it to gain a greater sense of balance and better focus by simply letting their minds be cleared and allowing the motions of the dance to take over. By the end of a Swords dance, the Pokémon using it is refreshed and much more confident about its abilities, but not in the same way as posed by a Growl technique. Rather, the mental concentration is enhanced and the physical strength is amplified, in turn critically increasing their attack stat about twice as much as normal. This simple but stamina-efficient technique is generally only learned by Pokémon that specialize in using sharp blades to deal damage to the opposition, though there are a few rare species such as Raticate that have picked up on the move and have developed their own unique variations with roughly the same effects. The simplicity and effectiveness of the technique are what led Silphco to release the move as TM03 within the first generation line of TMs, but the move was discontinued afterwards because it was deemed to be unfair. A recent resurgence of popularity, however, led the company to re-release the move as TM75 within the 4th through 7th generation line of TMs, as part of the recent Sinnoh Special Edition set, as TR00 in the first set of TRs, and as TM88 in the 9th generation line of TMs, from which its popularity has only grown immensely. Attacks and techniques that raise a Pokemon's defense stat or lower an opponent's attack stat are highly recommended for dealing with the Swords dance technique.
That's it for now, but look forward to the next set of moves here on TM Technical Movement. Thank you all for watching this video. It always brings me great joy to see others enjoying the work I do to try and make the world of Pokemon and the fascinating creatures that lay inside of it feel as real as they possibly can. If you really enjoy my work, please feel free to leave a comment and subscribe, as I always do my best to respond to any and all comments that are left on my videos. In addition, if you wish to learn more about my work and help support it, you can find links to my Patreon page, as well as email and other contact information to my work on DeviantArt in the video description down below. Furthermore, you can find a link to my Discord server there as well if you'd like to get a first glimpse at what videos are coming up next and converse with other fans of the world of Pokemon. Thank you for taking the time to watch this, and have a wonderful rest of your day.